So let's take a look at the RAMS wizard. We'll just click on here and open up a template that we had from earlier. Now the first thing you'll see is that many of the fields are already populated with details from the client card. This is done to save time, but at the same time you can change any of the details that are on here. So on this first screen of the wizard, the only thing that you really need to do is create a reference. So this will now be a specific risk assessment method statement for a particular job related to that client. You can obviously change dates should you want to, but it will default at the current date. And you can add a site supervisor. So let's move forward. And as you can see, we're starting to work through the wizard systematically. Now the system will auto-save every 30 seconds. It'll tell you when it last saved. But if you partially fill something and can't wait for the auto-save, you can also click the save button here. Now one of the biggest time savers that I like in the application is in the work description. So let's just type out a rough guide of what we're doing. Now let's just click expand with AI and see what happens. Usually it takes about 10 seconds for that to go through, and this is what we end up with. Now the system is not necessarily here to do everything for you, but it is here to speed things up. So do suggest that you read through these things and make amendments where necessary. Now let's go down to the exclusions. We mentioned before in our one sentence brief that we would not include kitchen cabinets, and it's pulled that up here. Same as white goods, external landscaping after the extension is built in this case. But let's just say we are including the plumbing, so we can highlight that and just remove it. The assumptions are key to a good risk assessment, and it will start you off on the right track there. So let's move forward. So again, it will pull in the employer and site manager, but you can change these to whatever you want if your circumstances differ. Now in terms of the responsibilities, these are pre-filled with typical answers as required in a RAMS, but I suggest that every document you complete, you do look at them, you make amendments as required by your job. Step forward one more, the same thing here, and then we move on to training and certification. So for this specific job, you can select the training that is relevant, and this will get added to the RAMS. Make your own decision on briefing and supervision. I suggest you should go belt and braces, check off these boxes required. PPE, complete as necessary, and then continue. In this particular case, we don't need any plant or equipment, but we will be using tools. You can add your own tools here, should it be required. You'll need to tick the pre-use inspection, and I suggest you do follow the manufacturer's instructions. Materials and cost assessment should be completed as required, and if you need to add an assessment reference, you can do so here. Again, if you've got any issues with dust and fume exposure, you can add a brief sentence here too. Again, for site conditions, pre-filled forms, which you can continue to add or remove as you wish. Permits and authorizations to be added here, and then you can continue. Again, you can change how the risk assessments are scored, but this is pretty standard as expected for a RAMS statement. Consider what hazards might be in place for the particular job, and then that will be copied over onto the hazards. You can change any of these risk assessments yourself, and I suggest you do, to cover the risks that you feel are likely regarding the job. Again, go through all the different hazards as required, and then you can continue. And at this point, based on the information that you've pre-filled, you can now create an AI generated method statement. So click the button and let the system do its thing. So that's about 6 or 7 seconds later, and you'll get a nice stepped process for the method statement. As you can see, moving on, you should always have contact details for your emergency contacts. You can see this is very quick to complete. Most things are completed. It's just a matter of you making sure that they are specific to your job. You can check through all these things. Click next. And now here's the clever bit. So the system is doing an AI consistency check.
and it's going to make sure that everything you've put into the system is correct and doesn't contradict itself. Now here's what it's found, and you can read through these inconsistencies and decide to ignore some if you want to, apply fixes in the RAMS to specific ones, or just click fix all issues. And what that will do, for example, is check that you're following working from heights legislation. If, for example, you're erecting scaffolding, it's a great tool and it will just make sure that you get your RAMS absolutely the way that they should be. So that leads us on to the rest of the preview, and you can now check through everything in the RAMS and make sure it is the way that you want it to be. Should there be anything that's not correct, you can go back to any one of these sections from this left menu or from this status bar here and make amendments. At that stage then, it's just a matter of accepting the preview, moving forward, checking the declaration, adding the name of the person that's signing off and the position, and then sign off and finalise the RAMS. From here you can print or download the document. Just click up here to open print dialog, send via email right at this point, or if we go back, you have the option to do that here as well. And now we can return to the dashboard. You see the pill has now turned green to show that you've got a completed document. Here it is inside the pill. You can reopen it from there, or you can create a version 2 should you need to make amendments further into the job. The other option is create a brand new RAMS document. Turn to the dashboard. You'll now see we've got an amber traffic light, and that's because inside here we might have a completed document, but we've also got one in draft. And that concedes the overview of the RAMS creation wizard, and we sincerely hope this helps you save time and create better documents that are more accurate.